The sky was gray over a quiet Georgia town called Oakville. It was late afternoon, and most folks are getting off work, heading to the grocery store, grabbing dinner, or picking up kids from school. Nina Carter had just finished her shopping. She looked like any regular woman: sweatshirt, jeans, sneakers. She loaded water bottles into the trunk of her black SUV. She moved steady, calm, but her eyes were sharp, watching everything. Across the lot, a police cruiser slowed down. Inside sat Officer Brad Walker. He wasn't new, and he wasn't nice either. He'd been on the force for 8 years and had built a reputation, tough on folks who didn't talk back, and even tougher on those who did. He spotted Nina, alone, calm, focused, but something about her confidence rubbed him the wrong way. He turned sharply and drove right up behind her car, blocking it in. The tires screeched slightly. Nina turned, surprised, but she didn't look scared. Brad stepped out, hand resting on his holster. "Ma'am," he barked. "What are you doing out here?" Nina raised a brow. "Buying groceries." "You all right, officer?" That annoyed him. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "You got ID?" "Yes." "But why?" Brad stepped closer. "You match the description of someone we're watching." Nina blinked. "Do I?" Brad's tone grew sharp. "Let me see your hands." She raised them slowly. "Step away from the car." Nina took one step back, eyes on him. Then, without warning, Brad pulled out his gun. A woman nearby screamed. Another person pulled out their phone and hit record. "You better calm down," Nina said firmly. "Don't tell me what to do," Brad snapped. Then Nina did something no one expected. She reached into her hoodie slowly and pulled out a black badge holder. She flipped it open. The silver badge glinted in the dull light. Right below it, an active Delta Force ID. Brad froze. His eyes locked on it. "Sergeant First Class Nina Carter, Special Operations Command. You just pointed a weapon at active military." His mouth opened. No words came out. Nina stepped forward now. "Calm. Steady. You just made the biggest mistake of your career." People were filming. Nobody said a word. Brad's hands shook slightly as he lowered the gun. But it was too late. She had everything she needed. Within 2 hours, the video hit social media. Cop pulls gun on active Delta Force member. It spread like wildfire. Back at Oakville Police Station, Chief Daniels stood in his office, phone in hand, jaw clenched. On the screen, a call from the Pentagon. The chief answered. "Yes, sir." The voice on the other end was sharp. "Your officer pointed a gun at one of our own. Do you know what that means?" Chief Daniels looked like he might pass out. "We didn't know she was Delta Force." "Exactly the problem," the voice snapped. "Your department should have trained better. She's classified, yes, but her ID was real. Your officer had no reason to threaten her. We're coming down there." Meanwhile, Nina sat quietly at her kitchen table, calm as ever, drinking tea. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Friends, old teammates, some laughing, some angry. One just sent a text. "You finally scared someone who deserved it." By evening, Oakville News was already parked outside the police station. A few officers tried to speak, but most stayed quiet. Rumors flew fast. Officer Brad Walker was placed on immediate suspension. Chief Daniels called Nina personally. "Ma'am, I just want to say how sorry we are." "I know you are," Nina said. "I've already been contacted by military legal. They're handling it from here. Please, is there anything?" "There is," Nina cut in. "Make sure he never wears a badge again." 2 days later, a formal press conference was held outside the Oakville courthouse. Chief Daniels stood stiff at the mic. Behind him, Officer Walker looked pale, hands folded tightly in front of him. "We want to apologize to Sergeant Carter and the entire military community. What happened was unacceptable." He turned toward Walker. "As of this morning, Officer Brad Walker is no longer employed with the Oakville Police Department." The crowd clapped. Not loud, but sharp. Reporters turned to Nina, who stood off to the side in black jeans and a simple jacket. She stepped forward. "I didn't want this to become a show. But this isn't about me," she said. "This is about how people in power treat people they don't understand. Some see a woman who looks like me and think I'm weak, or soft, or someone they can scare." She looked straight into the cameras. "I've served 4 tours. I've saved lives. I've stood next to men and women braver than most people can imagine. But none of that matters when someone pulls a gun on you just because they think you don't belong." Silence. Then a single clap. Then another. Soon, the whole crowd stood. And Nina? She walked away. No big moment. No ego. Just like she came. The department never forgot her. Neither did Brad Walker. Sometimes justice doesn't come from courtrooms or handcuffs. Sometimes it comes from standing still while the other person falls apart.